All right. Given the access to information and evidence that Rob has, he actually did a pretty all right job. He had a lot of speculation that was wrong, and well, when you don't have the right information or access to all of the information, it's easy to do that. I've had that same issue. A lot of the stuff that people are like, you lied, you lied, you lied. No, I got it wrong because I was being lied to. I got it wrong because I didn't have the right information, just like this man, Rob, got it wrong because he didn't have the right information. Just like the police screwed up because they didn't have the right information. Of course, the police didn't want to hear it. So it's a big difference. Um, there's some stuff that, a lot of stuff that wasn't mentioned, which, in a 22-minute video, you look at my videos, they're fucking hours long. So, yeah, there's not going to be as much information, you know. But another thing is, like some of the stuff that needed to be touched on, Ted goes to the Quran. Eye for an eye. He demanded eye for an eye. That's funny. Eye for an eye would be Ted Bollinger getting raped in prison. I mean, Ted Bollinger claimed that Joseph Michael Lopez cannot be rehabilitated. Ted claimed that he knows this because he's been to DOC a few times. Well, Ted, you're going back to the Department of Corrections. Dumbass. He's in K County, Oklahoma right now, currently, as far as I know, according to somebody who was locked up with him, who decided to get a hold of me after they were no longer locked up with him. Ted didn't care about justice. He cared about hiding his crimes. Now, Alicia, between telling the truth and rewarding her predators, including the father who fucked her, she helped out the father who fucked her. Now, what are the chances that Alicia was doing those methamphetamines with her dad when they got into that car accident on my birthday last year? They're pretty fucking good. What are the chances that she's having sex with her father for those drugs? Well, that's actually a pretty good chance, too. Nobody wants to hear that. But the fact is, it's reality. All of the shit that the Bollinger family has pulled in the last 3 years. But it's all right. They must be allowed to do these illegal things because I'm mentally ill, right? They don't care about justice. They care about hiding their wrongdoing. That goes for her. Let's listen to this part. Yes, she was vulnerable. She was made vulnerable by her family and their cruelty, their bad assumptions. She drugged herself. And who got her started on those drugs? This very same father who's bitching, who's typing, "You took advantage of my daughter. She was vulnerable and drugged. You brutally shot and killed my baby. I asked for an eye for an eye. You have been protected. The Bollinger family had no say in this. This is a deal with the devil." Any deal with Ted Bollinger is going to be a deal with the devil. Ted Bollinger is an evil man. There aren't many people who I will say are evil. A lot of these people who fucked me over, they're not evil people. They're people who didn't understand, people who were afraid, people who were harassed and threatened by the police. I don't care if the Bollinger family had a say in the plea deal. I don't. Eye for an eye doesn't come from the Bible. That's not a Christian thing. That's a Muslim thing. from this guy who wants to play Christian. Like that will magically wash away his sins. Oh, I said in Jesus' name, so magically I didn't molest my daughter. I said in Jesus' name, so magically I didn't get drunk and beat her up. I said in Jesus' name, so it doesn't matter that I sold my own daughter to pay off my drug debts. This guy's a piece of shit. Meanwhile, I can't be vulnerable because I have a penis. You know how fucking asinine that bullshit is? Now, I'm gonna send this guy an email later on tonight. I'm not gonna do it now. I was gonna go to the store and get something to drink, and I'm actually gonna go do that just shortly. When I get back, I'll see what I got going on. Who is Gypsy Treasures? Apparently, she's someone who has me blocked, or she removed her comment because I can't see it. There's a lot of people being, what's the word? Supportive. Let's see, Jess Rabbit. You know, I think this guy is actually getting rid of people who are being jackasses because these people are responding to people who aren't on here. Anemic leader type. The guy has Asperger's. If he was never in any therapy for social cues or help with thought patterns, then he was set up for failure. People with this disorder sometimes become fixed or obsessed with people, things, or words. He didn't need to be treated like a criminal, but a person who needed help. They both needed help, but neither got it. Exactly my fucking point. It's not always so black and white. Just because you can think logically doesn't mean mental illness doesn't exist. Mental illness has no logic. All right. Now, this part right here is highly insulting, whether anemic leader wants it to come across as insulting or not. The term mental illness, that automatically denotes that I'm wrong because of the term illness. You're also typing that mental illness has no logic. Obviously, I am a logical and rational human being. Despite that label, I saved evidence and I proved that I was telling the truth. Through all of this, I have had to think logically. If you need to get from point A to point B, and everybody else is allowed to go from point A to point B, just walk a straight line. But when you try to walk from point A to point B, there's a whole bunch of roadblocks. And you try to go around the roadblocks, and there's more roadblocks. And pretty soon, from trying to get point A to point B of 20 feet, you're now 800 feet sideways and 300 feet backwards. You didn't make any fucking progress. See, the thing is that although I have been thinking logically through all of this, I still have emotions. And I have to deal with a shit ton of fucking idiots who don't think logically. Like, logically, if it's okay for you to be attracted to someone, then being attracted to someone is okay. Logically, if you are having sex with someone and they're having consensual sex with you, then you both like sex, and sex is obviously not this big, terrible thing. But then you want to assume that I'm only after sex and that I'm this terrible person who must be punished because I thought about sex once, according to you. These people have sex and it's okay. But you just pretend that I wanted to have a sexual relationship and it makes it okay for you to harm me. I'm not allowed to defend myself because you call me mentally ill, and magically that makes it all okay. I needed help, so did Natalie. I needed Natalie's help, and Natalie obviously needed my help. But between getting the help that she needed and making her predators happy, her predators are her family. She loves them. She wants them to be happy with her. She wants them to accept her, not as a sexual object, not as somebody who only exists in between boyfriends who beat on you. It's not always so black and white. But also, the thing is, when you want to assume that other people are thinking logically who don't have all the information, they aren't thinking logically because they aren't trying to get all of the information. They just want to jump to the judgment part. And even though this lady was trying to be supportive, right down there at the bottom, you go right to the judgment part. Again, after all of that stuff that she typed, it all comes down to the mentally ill tag again. It's not always so black and white. Just because you can think logically doesn't mean mental illness doesn't exist. Mental illness has no logic. I think you'd be surprised. PTSD itself is pure logic. Pure logic. Why? Self-preservation. Most logical thing you can do. A lot of these people who lied, that was logically the right thing for them to do. Ted doesn't want to get in trouble for the shit that he did. Lana doesn't want to get in trouble for the shit that she did. None of these people want to get in trouble for the shit that they did. Meanwhile, I admit to all the shit I did. All of it. Every last bit. I admitted all of my wrongs. Did I ever hide the fact that I called Natalie a cunt? Fuck no. Did I ever hide the fact that there was a reason for it? Fuck no. With all of these people that I was trying to get help from, who promised to help me, who didn't have time. All they had time was drugs, dick, pussy, alcohol, and going out and fucking partying. No, you're not going to be able to help me when you're doing that. See, this message is held for review from Very Big Sleaze. Hey man, I just watched the Rob video. Really sad to see society collapse on you with no evidence. Really hoping you're doing okay. You didn't deserve any of this shit. I still don't deserve any of this shit. I'm still going through it. No, I'm not okay. I still literally want someone to shoot me in the head. I want one of these motherfuckers who promised to kill me to actually do so. This was over. Oh, great. Another unstable connection. But also, if you noticed, I wasn't sexist with that word. Now, with the word bitch, I am sexist about that. I'll call a man a bitch before I'll call a woman a bitch. The reason for that is because most of the women I know just aren't offended by the word bitch. Dudes are. But if you notice, I called my dad a cunt. I called Tim Beeson a cunt. I called these officers in this town cunts. You want to be pissed off that I use the word cunt, but you don't want to be pissed off about any of the abuse that I've had to endure. The abuse that brought me to the point where I was literally willing to call somebody a cunt. How many people do I have to be abused by before I'm allowed to be pissed off at you? How many times do I have to be hit in the face over your slander before I'm allowed to be angry? How many of my loved ones do I have to be cut off from before I'm allowed to be sad? How many of my friends have to fucking die before I'm allowed to show any emotion about that? Meanwhile, these people who wanted to treat me like shit while I was trying to recover, while I was trying to mourn the death of someone I cared greatly about, matter of fact, quite a few of them since, these people wanted to treat me like shit. And then later on, they had loved ones who died. And then they wanted to treat me like shit, like I was a bad person because they had a loved one who died. I didn't kill your loved one, you fucking idiot. The first thing I need is to be protected from the police long enough to actually go through this stuff and not be rushed, not have to worry about being retaliated against or having my things stolen so that I can't show them in court, as they have done repeatedly. Very big sleaze typed. The people that get offended by meaningless words are the same people that would use the same words at you. Of course, exactly. I mean, the Bollingers and their friends and their families fucking harassed me to no end before Natalie was killed. And instead of harassing them like an asshole, I talked to all of them as nicely as I could. When I got a hold of Natalie's mother on the 9th of December 2017, I explained to her that I was being treated like a child molester and a rapist. I explained to her that I was the autistic guy who was stuck outside her house honking like an idiot. I explained to her that I didn't do those things to either of her daughters. Now, 7 months later, yeah. 7 months after all of that bullshit, you goddamn right I have nothing nice to say about Rose M. Kelly, the fucking cunt. Rose, you chose alcohol and abusive men over your own kids. You're not a fucking parent. But you were the only one out of all of the parents on the Bollinger side of the family, and I do consider you a Bollinger. You're the only one that didn't commit actual felonies. You're the only one that, as far as the evidence that I have, cannot be sent to prison. Danica Garner can be sent to prison for what she did. Ted Bollinger can go to prison for what he did. Alicia can go to prison for what she did. Danica and Shelley both committed multiple felonies. Jennifer Farina Bollinger as well as Troy Bollinger. Natalie deserved a better family, and so did I.